do we do?
We've got tax roll corrections.
Okay, we have tax roll corrections.
2 of them, huh?
Yeah. I already read that. That was my agenda.
I make the motion we correct these 2 tax rolls.
I'll second it. Been moved and seconded. Everybody says aye. Okay. We sign this?
Mm-hmm.
I sign it.
Right.
Approved by
There
commission.
you go. You saw that one of your interviewees has taken that job, so you've got 2.
That's
Do we want to look at some of those others, I wonder?
It's narrowing it down. I was wondering the same thing.
I thought maybe if we,
Is there someone else you wanted to call?
Pardon?
Was there someone else you thought we ought to?
Well, we look at some of those others to see if we, you know, we didn't doubt this many, but there's some there that want, sounds interesting, we might go ahead.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. So it's a good idea. We have to do it by Monday? I mean, by next Monday?
That's when your interviews
Yeah,
are.
no, we can just look and see if we don't, later on when we have to stand.
That's all I have. Yeah.
Work adjourned.
Still early in the morning. We have, I only have a couple things. One, we sent out the bills for the responses for the fire. Saturday night we had another party that was burning well into the night. I went out at 10 p.m. and frankly I don't know how to get the message across. And it's not that I think they just don't understand how much more dangerous it becomes at night when it does get out of control. And that's what I tried to explain to the party that was out there, that the danger factor goes up significantly for firefighters driving trucks across.
Yeah, 'cause you can't see the open ground what you're driving.
No, you hit a dip or something and roll a truck with it. You know, we put people on the back. Not everybody does that, but we do. And you hit a dip and roll one of them, and it's not going to be good for the person on the back. So I don't know what.
This was a controlled burn?
Control burn.
And they're burning CRP or something like that on purpose.
Right.
In the past, when farmers used to burn a lot, you know, they almost always waited till night. And I did it because I was busy during the day, but I mean, they purposely waited till night. Why is that? Why did they do that?
The wind dies down.
The wind dies down, typically. The wind dies down. If it doesn't get out of control, then it's probably a better choice of time. But I think that's why the state law actually doesn't allow burning after night, after dark, is because of the safety factor. That if it does get out of control, you've just increased the accident factor by a lot. I don't know. I don't know if we need to just run a small article in the paper and just say, here on out, if we come out after dark and you've thumbed your nose at our rule in state law, that you're going to get the maximum fine. Or if we just send this person a fine and let them be the poor soul that's the first one. I don't know what the answer is.
What do you? I mean, I'm pretty responsible with the new apps the new notes that you sent out. That people are supposed to sign, send back in or not.
They've done a real good job of that. I had one person's kind of funny story where they told the dispatcher that they wasn't going to be responsible, that was the fire department's responsibility, that they wasn't going to sign it. And, frankly, if they don't want to sign it for that reason, I'd just soon deny them to be able to burn, because they're not going to be as they're probably not gonna be.
That means be responsible. But if something goes wrong, you can't control or something like that, it's almost a different situation. But if you follow all the rules
Right.
and that's, that's
Yeah, we
a
understand.
different story then.
You know, you can't predict everything that's gonna happen in Kansas.
Right.
But by and large, folks have been very good at returning. We've got a pretty good response from that. The policy, I just visited with the undersheriff this morning, and we're gonna start having the dispatchers ask a few questions, and go ahead and a few actually are just statements of just verification that they understand this, and this. And so hopefully that will help. And I think like this one Saturday night, I think we could put something in the paper that pretty much says that this is the reason why. It's firefighter safety. We understand that the winds go down, but they come up too in Kansas.
Yeah, you can't tell them.
Yeah, you can't tell. And so if they would, and I wrote a little something here that I put on the emergency service blog, and I think I could put something at the bottom of that maybe send, at least maybe the message could go out that we're not doing our job. My personal opinion as a fire chief and as leaders, if we wait until something tragic happens and we say, I wish we'd have done some more. And so I think that's, we've tried a lot of different things, and I don't mind doing one more step, but I think after that, we've got to start, somebody's going to have to start getting some fines, and then maybe that'll get shared across the county.
So you're suggesting go ahead and put an article or something in the paper?
That'd be my suggestion, and then maybe a little asterisk, but below the bottom, that the step we're going to take is that if it's obvious that, see, there was very little, expense. And right now, all I've asked you to do is to cover the county's expense, and really minimal expense. It probably doesn't cover our expense completely, but at least it helps offset it. This would, we had very little expense. I drove out there with my pickup, the county truck, and so we had very little expense. So this would, if we was to do something of this sort, it'd actually be a fine. That,
Well, I think, Steve, that, education is the key here. And before we go offending people, we need to educate them. And I asked the question, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people in the county that would ask the same question. This is the way my dad did it, my granddad did it, and it's a good way to do it. We have good reasons for doing it this way. Why are you not allowing me to do it like this?
right.
You have good reasons.
Yeah.
To not allow it, and the people, they deserve to know.
Sure.
Otherwise they just feel like, well, there's just big brothers just putting their thumb down on me, and it's just a power thing or something like that. And it's not. You have legitimate reasons for the rules that you're trying to enforce, and the people need to know that. So before we get too carried away with fines or anything like that, let's do our best at educating the public as to why this is necessary.
Which is kind of what we've done, we sent these
Yes,
out.
I agree.
And the other side, and it's not the most important side, the most important side is firefighter safety.
Absolutely.
I'm no lawyer, but I would think that when state law says, you do this, and then we don't enforce it, I think we put ourselves at somewhat risk, because if we can show a pattern, and a pattern that we did not take steps to correct, then we have some liability ourselves to at least try to stop it. And we've done things, so I think we've been prudent. And that's why I was pretty upset the other night when I went out there and talked to him. And I said, you'll probably get a fine, but by the time I'd cooled down by this morning, I thought, maybe one more try to make sure that we, there's a reason. Because the gentleman's very nice about it, but I
Sure.
explained to him, I said, you know, I said, if we don't take some steps, I said, you know, I'm not gonna be able to live with myself if we have somebody get hurt, and it was my responsibility to take that next step to try to stop it.
I agree, Steve, my frustration is that people don't seem to appreciate that these are volunteer funds, that they are volunteers.
Right.
They're giving up their whatever to do this, and
And you know, I'm
you
working so
don't,
hard.
you just don't abuse that.
No.
It's just asking your neighbor to do something you're unwilling to do, and that's not fair.
Right.
So, in that regard, I fully support what you're saying, but I think education is still,
I'll try to get the newspapers to put something, this, and then maybe something at the bottom that
get it
says that, you know,
on your internet.
It's already
site.
on there. The other thing I was going to share with you is that I know folks have a tendency to criticize. It's just in human nature. But you mentioned last week about the truck tank. I wanted to share. I did a little bit of research on that, and it was indeed the fact that they were working on it. But there is even a little bit more to that. That I had gotten authorization to spend up to $1,900 to fix that truck, and firefighters fixed that truck for $168.
It's good to know.
So they saved a boatload of money, and Stafford firefighters did the same thing with putting the one back together that burned.
Yeah, it's true.
And then the only other thing, I'll be out of town Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Before you run off,
Yes.
how are we coming on the collection process on the EMS and stuff? Have we got anything set up we're gonna have monthly buildings, or how's it gonna work? Or
I've visited a number of times with Lisa on that, and I visited with the hospital, and then of course we have the change of directors there with not a replacement yet, so I haven't gone back with him. It looked like that was going to be a very
that's what I
good.
thought, maybe one time.
I visited with Lisa because it's better now, but the problem is it's kind of like a yo-yo now, because it goes over here, then it comes back, then it goes over here, comes back, and Lisa is very detail oriented, and not that Misty isn't, but Misty might be gone, and so Lisa wants to get it finalized. Well, it can't get finalized because Misty's gone, and so I honestly believe the collection process should not be within my department. And the reason why is because customers deserve to get a telephone answer. And once it gets passed off, I think it should be that person that receives the ball should have all the information and should be able to finalize their job with it. If they have to go back again repeatedly, and it becomes very complicated, and not only that, you run the risk, I think, of mistakes, because you're moving information back repeatedly, and
You're talking about between the treasurer's office and your office?
yes.
Well, correct me if I'm misunderstanding how this is supposed to work, but really this isn't the treasurer's office's job. She's just trying to help out, right?
Well, but when monies come in to her, she's got to be able to figure out how to post those monies, and
She being,
the treasurer's office.
okay.
They have to figure out how to, what they can't have is they can't have in the financial system, they can't show monies that don't have some type of reasoning for them.
Right.
So even where we've collected some monies from back dues where we actually had made the decision to zero them out because they were so old, here comes monies.
Yeah.
Now we got to figure out where the heck did that money come from, because we can't have just money,
Right.
$1,500 that has no attachment to it that came in.
Like I say, Medicare and stuff is a little different billing. You just don't have it 1 month and get paid the next month. Unless
Right.
you got
Right.
longer periods. I think that's where it gets kind of bogged down. Some of that we don't have the follow-up to go back and to make sure we bill these back, that these people know we're still aware of this, and then their turn can go back and try to check on their insurance to get us paid. And, if we just do it once and they kind of think, well, then let's take care of it, I think that's part of their reasoning. And if we just had some way to let them notify, and if we had already paid it, then they could.
Right.
I think it'd solve a lot of problems.
There's various ways that agencies handle billing. Some hire an outside entity to do it, and they take a percentage of it. Some do it internally, some pass it over to another. The way Salina does it, which I was used to, is the fire department, which runs EMS. They make sure that everything is exactly perfect, and then they launch the bill. And their software is interconnected, so through fiber optic line. And so once it's passed off, then they have, in the treasurer's office, they have a person that handles it, that has a backup to that person, which is extremely important too, that you have some type of redundancy built into your system. So if you lose a person for whatever reason, you're not starting afresh. And even when that person's out of town or on vacation or whatever, the system doesn't stop; it keeps going. You'll see some of these. They'll launch a bill practically before you leave the daggone hospital, and sometimes there's not if a person should die, they're grabbing the money about as fast as they can, and if you're slow, then you're going to be at the end of the line, and there ain't going to be no hot dogs when you get up to this concession stand. It's all gone. And so it's important to do it timely also. So I visit with Lisa, and I think we've got some ideas, and she's visiting with the some of her girls, and kind of trying to. It's one of the things where you're hesitant, and I understand that, to take on extra stuff. But sometimes it needs to be done. It's like building a fire station. It's or changing protocols, or when Harold retired, whether you replace that person or whether you just absorb those duties. The right thing what that decision was, I thought we should absorb the duties. But make no mistake that you're taking on extra work when you do that. And I think there's a little bit of hesitancy there to make sure that the work can be done still.
Well, back to Stafford Hospital, you said you had visited over there, were they receptive to the idea?
They were.
And what we're just kind of stalemated down because of the administration over there? Maybe that might be an avenue we might go ahead and try to work on. I think that'd be a good place to come out of.
Well,
They've already got a building system set up.
Yes.
What were you visiting with them about? Were you just getting procedures from them, or actually using them to help with the building?
I was helping with the building. They have some that sits right there on top of the building, so that is their sole job. And so, once they're able to stay right on it. They got their file. They got their, when somebody calls, they're there. They take the call. They make the, they address the issues or whatever it might be. You're not passing documents back and forth. I mean, I shuttle documents out in my truck to the EMS station, and that's just not a good system.
Well, how does it work right now? You guys send the bill, you create the bill, Misty creates it.
Yes.
And then what happens?
When the receipts come in here,
They do.
the monies come in here.
To the treasurer's
Yes.
office.
Yes.
So already we have a little problem.
Well,
Because how does the treasurer know? I mean, I can
then
see
that information has to go back to Misty. And then, then if Misty gets some information, then it has to, through the telephone call, and that has to go back to the treasurer's
Make
office.
sure you're.
It's like a yo-yo. It goes just
Yeah, I see
going
what
back
you're
and
saying.
forth.
It does have access to your QuickBooks, right?
Yes.
So she can see,
What bill was sent.
J.D. Hager sent me this check for this bill or whatever.
Well,
I mean, she can see
why is the
that.
money going to the treasurer's office? Has it always been that way?
No,
Well,
because
no, but that would
checks
be
used to
worse.
lay out there for
We had-
months and
Because of the
months.
A
problem
long
we
time
had.
ago, we had a stack of stuff.
Okay, so that was an attempt to solve that problem, they started coming here.
All their mail comes to my office.
But, you know, if mail came in out there, it might be sitting out there in the mailbox, and we might be sent on a Wichita transfer, and we don't get the mail till maybe the next morning or something, because we got sent out of town.
And I think it's worked all right, your mail coming up here.
Oh, it's way safer.
Yeah.
It's way safer to make sure that it gets dropped off at a point that
Somebody's there.
And I
Somebody's
go
there.
through it, and if there's a check, I shoot it to Lisa.
And that's the biggest concern that I have with, it's not that Misty can't do the job, she can, but she can't when she's not there. And the follow-up, and the taking the telephone calls, when people have a concern, a lot of our customers are elderly, and they don't like unresolved issues. And typically nobody does, but even more so, folks want to take care of their bills, and if they get hold of somebody, it's very frustrating.
So what would you suggest we do?
My suggestion is that we take care of processing the bill. That we gather all the necessary information, because that's where it's critical for our people. They're there. They're with the patient, they're with the family, they're with the hospital. They can get all the right information. So once it gets launched, it isn't an issue of improper information. It's perfect. And once it gets launched, my preference would be that the collection process, and it's not so much a collection process, it's just a processing of the monies when they come in. And then maybe answering a few questions when somebody calls in, that part of the equation would be moved over to an agency that has better redundancy and somebody that's there, more so than somebody that's running emergencies on top of it.
Someone there to answer the phone, answer the questions, I understand that.
Right, and stay on top of it, because that's part of it too, is that you go out on a 4 or 5 hour transfer and have a couple of emergencies.
Then they have to come back around and report that too, after transfer, isn't it?
Correct, but you got to figure out where the heck it was that,
Where to start at.
where was I, and then you try to call Medicare and they're closed down for the day.
I can see that.
So the problem isn't generating the bill. That's
No.
getting done.
No, that's getting done. It's the follow-ups afterwards.
And what you're suggesting is that that's not very feasible for the department to do.
Not very feasible, not very efficient, and not very customer friendly.
So,
I can see someone needs to be there, call us back in, and there's an answer, or billing area, get answer from them.
and after that point, other than if there's a question about a service that was rendered, and the person who takes care of that should be able to answer those questions.
Yes, we can make, because we can make our
If there was a
reports
question-
completely accept, all of our reporting. I have the volunteers doing a hard copy report, but all that is transferred over. The reason I don't have them do the electronic portion is I don't want them sitting around at the station for another hour. So they write a report in hand, and then we transfer all that information over to electronic reporting, and so that's internet-based and available to anybody, treasurer's officer, hospital, or anybody could pull that information up.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Here comes Charles.
Good morning, Dad. You're coming back getting it.
Have a seat.
That was perfect timing.
Yes, it
I
was.
can't believe that. How are we doing
Don't
today?
you always have perfect timing?
No, I don't. I actually
These
don't.
are honest.
I'm just gonna put,
What do you got there, bud?
This is that leadership. This is from the Golden Belt Foundation, and just to kind of fill you in, hope it's all right. But Pawnee County took me to go to do this and represent Pawnee County for this. It's for the 2011 Leadership Golden Belt class schedule, and on the back page it gives you the dates that I have to go to the different places. And so I told them I'd do it. And so they're just to let you know. And Stafford County is in the same area. Then, so I thought it'll work out good.
This is when we sent
DJ went last year.
Did you?
Fair. They really.
Did they enjoy it? Good.
Good.
Good. Good. So I'm gonna go to this now.
Good.
So it'll be interesting. There's that. And did you guys get a, Diana, Mrs. Gogan, she came in and did that power line? I got an email from her.
Really?
On May 17th. Remember that she talked about,
Yeah.
talked about that community meeting and so forth? And I don't know which one of you guys was going, or, because I haven't done my May schedule yet. If one of you guys are going, we ride together, or, it looks like she wants us to reply and on who else you guys might want to go to this. I mean, I don't know if we want to contact like the city, because I know you guys brought up, you know,
Yeah,
how could the city, you know, or the,
Benefit, but it doesn't seem like we benefit much from this.
do we,
That's the whole thing, and then we talked about too, where we open the door to eminent domain, you know, if we endorse this, that's what we discussed in there, right, Roger?
That's exactly right.
And I'm kind of cautious of that area, so.
so do we want to contact many people, or just kind of maybe go to this meeting and see what's going on and go from there, or what do you guys kind of, I didn't know how much time.
It might be good to be informed, what's it going on,
Yeah, what do you think the purpose of this is? Just information, are they wanting input, or?
Well, the way it sounded is they want input and so forth, and they're gonna dish out information. You know, it was one of the discussions, you know, that comes first, you know, that you kind of talk as they go down the line. But this isn't to the public yet, it's just, you know, it's the round table, I think, is what they.
Well, we definitely need to be represented there.
I mean, like I said, I haven't done my schedule, I can schedule for me to go down
That
there.
you can
You wanna go? You're interested?
I wouldn't mind going, I hate getting that far ahead.
Chairman or you can, so what
Would
committee
you
you
like to go?
They only
You
want
don't
one
wanna
of you
go.
there,
Yeah, because of the
since
round
it's a
table.
closed meeting.
Well, let's just say Clayton or I will go, whichever one.
You just want to go together then, like meet here then, and
I don't see why not.
okay. Well, I'll get a hold of her and find
Will we have an economic development director in place by then?
Probably not.
Probably not, will it? So, yeah, but if we do, we could take them.
just add them to it.
I don't see them, doesn't say them.
What I may do is just call her then and let her know how we're feeling and that we'll be there and, because I don't even think,
They only want one commissioner though, don't they? That's fine, well, one of us will be there.
and then we, if they talk about the cities or something, we can come back and then we can go to the city and let them know what we found out.
I think at this point,
Okay.
it's gonna affect the county way more than any individual city. So,
Okay, well, I'll call her back and tell her we'll be there and
I don't think we should exclude them though unless you want to go.
What's that?
The cities.
I guess anybody else go, okay.
If you have city official that wants to go, I don't think it's up to us to say no.
okay. Well, I can call them and just tell them that there's gonna be a meeting down there and explain if they want to go, they can. I mean, we can all go in the blazer if we want to
Sounds good.
and save a little time there.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
I'll work on that then and keep you up on that then. That's all I have.
All right.
How's
Short and
baseball
sweet.
going? Softball going?
Everything's going okay.
Good.
Going pretty good.
That's the important stuff.
That's important stuff. All right, thanks. Hey.
Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
First of all, I wanted to tell you guys, I meant to tell you last week and I forgot, but Ron Estes, the state treasurer, is going to be here tomorrow evening from 6:30 to 7:30. He's kind of out doing, he's going to different towns and his unclaimed money,
Oh,
people are coming and they just set up a couple computers and people can come and see if they have unclaimed money. So it's It's gonna be down on the first floor, just out on the landing there, from 6:30 to 7:30.
Was that in the paper?
It wasn't in the paper. And I don't know why, but I know Terry Spradley knows about it, so I think a press release went out on it. But,
But it was too late.
Yeah.
well, it went out last week. But, and I did notify our local newspapers, but they didn't ask me to put anything in, so I don't.
Did you send me anything for the television station perchance?
Did I send you
Or
anything?
anybody send us anything for, put on TV about it?
No,
First I heard of it.
yeah. Well, I figured his public relations
Well, you would have
office.
thought that
Yeah.
they would first have told you, hey.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
should just get
I
them
thought,
paid.
well, if they wanted me to do
Usually
something,
they
they would have told
They
me.
put them in themselves.
Yeah, different.
Because
So it's kind of odd. So, yeah, I don't think it'll be very well attended.
No.
Anyway, so, anyway, just wanted to tell you that they're coming. So. And I got my quarterly report for you guys.
First quarter's over.
First quarter is over. First page there shows the CDs and then the balance in our regular checking/savings accounts. I'm just not getting much response for CDs, any bids, so last month I didn't even do a CD because I got more with the savings account than I did a CD. But now the savings account might turn around and drop, so, I mean, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's just like every month, okay, now which way do we go this day? And so, I'm not looking for much there for a while. And then the pie chart just breaks it down of how we're allocated CDs to our liquid accounts. So, and then the next page, that shows our interest so far as of first quarter in 2011. So,
Little difference between 2007 and 2011.
yeah,
Little different interest rate then too.
yeah. Yeah, I was like getting, what, probably 4% back then. I don't know, maybe even more, I don't remember.
That's okay, I like it better this week.
But, well, depends which end you're on.
That's exactly right, and the end I'm on is,
How come there's such a big spread? I can see a couple point spread, but
ask the man.
I know.
Ask the man.
he's got no comment.
You notice he's getting loose. Don't want to talk about this.
A little color to him there.
No, it's his title, all over it is, and it's just a money market, the way it is.
Yeah.
On our end too, there's nothing out there to invest in, get money back on.
Yeah. So I don't think I have anything else.
Okay.
You want to talk to her about Steve's ideas or what's going on there? You want to wait for Clayton?
Go ahead.
Have we-
Did he come down and talk to you?
Well, we brought up the subject of Steve basically says he wants them to generate the bill, which they have to, and then basically make it somebody else's responsibility. Did I understand it right? And he has some pretty good, Steve always has good reasoning behind it. I'd kind of like to hear your point of view on that subject.
I'm still trying to research things, and I want to take time. Yeah, I can see good and bad on each side. I like it to be able to keep it within the county, so we don't outsource it out or something. But I don't know, what does it cost to outsource it? I mean, if we have more of other help coming in, then that's going to be more wages. And so we really need to sit down and figure what the cost would be, additional costs. So,
Yeah, I agree.
It seems like our problem was with the follow-up, you know, you get the initial
It
billing,
is.
this is an area we need
mhm.
to plug in there, we wouldn't have all these, you know, delinquents, we could have a continual billing system somewhere,
Yeah.
a monthly billing. And someone on this end knows what's going on, and on your end knows what's on, they can all work together.
Yeah, and I did mention to Steve, if we did anything like that, I would almost need a program that I could see the history of what Misty has submitted. Because when she submits a bill, I mean, I don't know how it works. But in my head, I'd like it, when she does a medical claim and submits it, I'd like it to be able just to roll over into accounts receivable in the same program. See, right now she submits a bill, then she's got to go enter an invoice in QuickBooks. So she's got two different steps. If it could generate and go into accounts receivable when she does a medical claim, if there's a program out there to do that, and then we share that, that way if a customer calls our office, we can say, well, okay, Misty submitted this claim this day, so we haven't let enough time go yet, so you need to wait, or we don't know what you owe yet, because, you know, we know the history on it. If we don't know the history on the account, I think we're still gonna be, I'm still gonna have to refer to Misty.
Which is kind of what Steve's talking about, is the problem. He called it a yo-yo back and forth.
Yeah.
Where it makes it
And
very difficult
sometimes,
and inefficient.
right, sometimes I think, I mean, I like posting the payments in my office, I think that's a good thing. But I can see sometimes where it's a hindrance to Misty too. Because when I'm sitting there posting something, that's a piece of the information that she may need to know as to whether she needs to do something more with this claim. And
Well, is there any way we can just, them go ahead and generate the claim that just goes in your charge only, that goes out of their hands, that way they wouldn't be out there?
yeah, but I don't
Then
know.
there too, I'm sure she's gonna have calls out there, people gonna call out there and ask about their bill out there too, so she's got to have the
Yeah,
information out there too, I understand.
yeah, and that's one thing,
Well, that's the thing Steve said, there's nobody to talk to out there a lot of times.
right.
That's why.
But I want to tell you, November through March in my office, people cannot get a hold of us either. They get calls all the time saying, their treasurer's office has been, the line's been busy all day. There's something wrong with their line. No, we're really on the phone. And could we add another phone line? Yeah, but then I don't have the help to answer another phone line during that busy time. So I don't know if you'd want to get a different type of phone system that if our line was busy, they could at least leave a message and then we return a call to them. Right now, the line's busy, you don't have an option even to leave a message. But I did, I thought, well, maybe get another phone line. So I don't know. And I kind of need your guys' help and advice on it too.
Well, is there a computer program like you're talking about?
I don't
Is that
know.
stuff-
I would think there would be. I've thought about calling maybe some doctor's offices or some other EMS departments.
Well, I thought we were gonna talk to the hospital.
Hospital Stafford, how
And find out how
they
they were doing
operate
it.
theirs, you know, they're,
I don't know.
that's what we need to.
I could go over there if you wanted me to and
Well,
talk to
would you
them.
mind, I think it'd be good, maybe get some information from them and find out.
Well, that's
Steve-
where
Steve,
I'm
at
at.
least
I
we'd have a
really
place
need
to
to
start.
research it.
Steve approached him, but he approached him with the idea that they take over the job.
Yeah.
And that wasn't our intention. We were trying to get information for them on how the process to go through and what would be the best.
And
most
that may
efficient
be the
way.
cheaper route. I don't know. What do people charge?
I don't know, but I mean, it's a county hospital, so it still would be within our realm. We could feasibly do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm not so sure it wouldn't be a better way to go, but the money's still gotta come here eventually, so it just makes sense that it's handled here.
Well, of course, if we can keep anything and handle it ourselves, yeah, I think we should do it. But,
I think I'm leaning towards this being done in the treasurer's office. But if you would want to talk to the hospital about procedure or programs or something like that, that would be helpful. I think that'd be a great idea. That makes sense.
yeah, but
Well, what
I just don't know how to
During
handle
their busy
everything.
season, they don't have
No, I
time to do
understand.
EMS.
Yeah.
I said, but, I mean, could it be maybe a part-time designated
Well,
Person.
you know,
Or
we're coming up on
maybe
budget
Steve
time
needs
here,
to
right?
hire a part-time person to do his billing, or a full-time person to sit out there and answer his phone, do his billing, and be his secretary.
Maybe so, but I also
That
thought
might-
that was
one
part
way
of
to hopefully
Misty's
get-
job
Get
description.
it off of her back.
Yeah.
Well, if Misty can handle it, maybe that's what he needs to do.
Right, and if, you know,
But I don't think it
we're
needs to
coming
be
up on
dumped
budget
on
time,
her.
or, right? And
Right,
so we
yeah,
need to make
we
some of
need
these
to think about
decisions
that.
now, and if we're gonna
It's
hire
something you need
somebody
to think.
else, or,
That might work, they're already out in the office, and that way, this
Just
person wouldn't
Let
be,
him
this
hire
person wouldn't
a
be
person out there.
affiliated with,
to do
you know,
that.
the EMS or far anything, it'll just be
And
an in-office
they
person,
can collect
so
their
they have to
own
worry,
mail, they
have to
can
call
do
and go
their
out, they
own
go and
stuff.
say, do their
well, I
work.
assumed that's what was being done anyhow.
If there's
Well,
so much,
in
maybe a half a day, of,
Perfect world, but
you know.
But it's not, and this is really
used to be
confusing
done
and
that way,
difficult on everybody. And there was, and that was a problem.
but I don't think it's fair to dump it on Lisa's girls.
Yeah, I'm not
No,
Or
trying,
that's
Lisa,
not
because they're-
taxis, not taxis unless you have someone that's committed.
unless we have
Well,
worked out, she
I
has some
told
extra
Steve,
help.
I said, it's, we may run a little bit behind during those months, but it isn't nothing that probably couldn't get caught up with real fast. That would be the only understanding on that. But,
We might check in the idea of having someone out there. I
We
think
still
even-
have a floater.
Yes.
I mean, isn't that kind of the idea of that person that, you know, I mean, I'm just throwing out ideas here, I'm not trying to,
yeah,
Manage
I'm
this
with
deal.
you. Yeah, and I want to do what's best for the county,
Well,
ultimately.
absolutely, so do we, but I think just not addressing this is not up in the county. We need to get some resolution.
Well, the
here.
like right now, I have money that I can't post because follow-up work needs to be done. And that is preventing me from doing my job then. And when it's coming to the point that me as the treasurer,
Follow-up work has to come from the EMS people.
yeah,
Yeah, this is really
so that's,
a mess.
yeah. And I've got an issue now that's going on for 4 weeks. I have money and I can't.
Well, I asked Steve, well, you know, what would he like to happen, and he told us basically that. Now, what would you like to see? How would you
I would
address it?
like to research it more and see what all is involved. I'm going into an area I know nothing about.
But I think this would be something that maybe you work together and see what, you know, and follow up with what we discussed this morning and see if we can get something started.
I would like for you and Steve to get together and come up with a consensus, if possible. A
That'll
recommendation
work for-
between the
for you.
two of you, that you both would think would be,
But,
if that's possible.
yeah. Okay.
That, you know,
No, I have no problem working with Steve trying to figure out what's best.
okay.
I mean, because in reality, it may be best, like you say, hire a part-time person or try to work with it, do it through my office, see if it works. If it doesn't work, you can still maybe hire somebody. If not, then
Well, if we're gonna hire somebody,
Outsource
we
it.
kinda need to know before you get your budgets handed in, that kind of stuff. So-
absolutely.
So let's work on this.
So, okay. I'll try to get on that.
Well, I mean, you know, we just talked to Steve about it, so it's on his mind too.
Well, we talked a little bit last week, but, because that's what, I asked him what he suggested I do with these checks that I need to get receipted in, and I can't do nothing with them, and so he's Misty's checking into it and trying to get on it to,
But because it is a county hospital, that option does exist too, so,
yeah,
like, you know, explore what's out there.
okay, all right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Morning,
Good morning.
how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Okay.
Good. Just to update that I do have the letter for signature. Commissioner Grimm's not here with duration today.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I had a letter, the telepharmacy letter. This last week, the hospital board gave its approval. So we've got all three together and ready to send out, but maybe I can leave this at your office. Would that be a good way to
I
connect
won't
with
see you
Sam?
until next Monday.
Guess he sells newspapers. Yeah. So how did your meeting with Midwest Energy go?
It was good. He I don't know, we talked about, like I said, there are two different areas, basically. One where their involvement in community development programs per se through, a lot of it's USDA federal funding that they can pass through. They acquire as a grant, they pass it through as a loan. The loan is repaid at 0 interest and then puts it in a revolving fund for them. So, you know, I don't have anything in particular right now that I think applies to that, but it's good to have better knowledge of how those could work and keep that in the back. We talked about several of those things. And then the idea of distributed energy, which I don't think that they're gonna get real enthusiastic about, but they may not find it either, you know, so.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because that's what they were promoting to me initially, and now they're going backwards real hard, it seems
Really?
like.
Really?
Well, is that your impression?
Well, I don't know what they did to begin with, but.
They
so-
seem to suggest that was the best avenue we had.
Interesting. Well, I pushed that idea, that, you know, not that you can't also have an eye toward the possibility of developing on a large scale, but in the meantime, there may be some more immediate opportunities to do something on a smaller scale in a distributed manner. And kind of pushed on that idea that
Yeah.
if they're decommissioning 10 kilowatts or say megawatts
Yeah.
in Great Bend, that there must be some capacity, and I pushed on that, and he didn't disagree. So,
They just didn't encourage. I'm wondering why they're so hesitant, and I really do think they're backpedaling. I wonder what do you think?
I don't know
Do you have an opinion as to why they're acting?
why they're, well, I don't know. I'm sure that wind energy isn't as easy for them to manage as the stuff that they can turn on and off. That
There's
may
no
be
question,
it.
I understand
So
that.
it may be just the path of least resistance. I don't know, but I pushed on the idea that just as you did that they are going to be in the wind energy game. And so if you are going to do it, let's maybe think about ways we can do it with the most local benefit. And so I don't know. We didn't say no. So
Yeah. Okay.
he's going to be an easier sell than the engineers and you know, I mean, his job description is in community and economic development. So, man, I met with, I think, would be an easier sell than some others in the company. But
It's interesting, but I'm sure true.
yeah. The other thing is that it's kind of, this week is do or die for the CDBG grant in Stafford. There were 3 different, what we need is an application of some sort in the mix that gives them the reason to ask for an extension beyond April 30th. So there have been 3 applications that we've encouraged them to get in there and do. 2 of them found out they weren't, kind of got disqualified. And the 3rd one, I don't know how motivated this individual is. The 2 that got disqualified were because they owe back taxes on dilapidated houses. These are ones that we were targeting to tear down anyway. So I talked to the city attorney for Stafford and asked, how would, you know, what would you guys think of something like this? If we, I don't know exactly what the back taxes are on this, but it can't be much, and he would acknowledge that. If the city were to just forgive those back taxes in exchange for that person to apply for the grant for demolishing and giving the lot back to the city, I think it would maybe serve a couple purposes. One, it'd give us the hook to ask for the extension so we can continue to work with. I mean, in fact, I got just this morning a call, and Department of Commerce is interested in meeting next week on this subject. But if we don't have a reason to still be involved in that program, it's not going to be very helpful. And then 2, it would get rid of some eyesores in town. And 3, there were actually some empty lots that we had to work with that the city owned. I think it set the stage for some other possibilities in terms of actually building some new houses there. So I think it could serve 3 good purposes, and it's probably only a few $100 worth of back taxes that are an issue.
Are you talking about city back taxes or county?
City, it is. I'm just letting you know because I'm working with this under the auspices of economic
Are they-
development.
is it legal?
The city of Stafford would have to forgive those back taxes.
you're talking special assessment taxes?
Special assessment tax
As
is
in
just.
mowing charges and stuff like that?
I don't know.
Well, the county
It
would
would have to be, right? Otherwise.
Well, if it's on the liquid list, it's put for tax sale, right? And that's the opportunity to buy them.
The city can't forgive those special assessments. If they're on our tax roll, they have to be paid.
Okay, well then maybe I need to be talking with you about this.
Yeah.
Talk to Lisa and I, because if,
Yeah.
once I put those on, those special assessments on, they're on.
Now, if the city wants to come pay those taxes, I mean, they will eventually get the money back in distribution.
We have to have money.
But-
We can't just.
Yeah. Once it
take
goes
them off
on, it's almost impossible to get it off the tax
Until we
roll.
get money.
Unless it's a clerical error or an abatement for an exemption reason.
Yeah.
And that has to start in, well, in Carl's office, really. I mean, once it's put on,
Those special assessments, once they're. set
Otherwise,
on
you
there-
have
Special
cities-
assessment's different than just simple property tax?
Oh, yeah. Their taxes for like when the city has to go and mow a lot because the landlord didn't mow. Most of the staffers are for
Well,
mowing
no,
charges.
I'm not saying that it is city of staff.
Well, then it would be county taxes,
yeah.
and the city can't forgive those.
Okay, then I'm glad we're having this conversation. Are you open to figuring out a way to forgive a few $100s worth of taxes?
I don't think we can.
I don't think
It
legally
has to go to
they
tax
give-
sale.
You can't
I don't
legally do
think
that.
we can.
I don't know any way we could.
Gotta go to tax sale.
Tax sale.
It's gonna be for,
Yeah. I don't think legally you can
I have
forgive
never heard of
taxes.
that.
I don't think you forgive one, who's gonna forgive mine?
Yeah.
Well,
You can't, no
I
place to stop
don't-
and start,
I mean, that's why we had the tax sale.
right? To try to get rid of these properties and hopefully the city's some, it's, I don't think St. John doesn't, but
Okay.
somebody buys
No.
the property.
okay,
If it's
I'm
in-
hearing you, I
If it's
understand.
in the
There's
city's best interest
legal
to come in and pay
complications
those
here.
taxes.
Right.
Figure out maybe just a creative problem-solving way of doing this. What
Yeah.
if we took some of the money that we've got, you know, we've of the economic development amount, we have $7,500 for housing. What if we used part of that money to pay those taxes and acquire the lots? Ultimately, if
Economic
we,
development would own the lot.
Stafford County doesn't want any property.
Yeah.
We don't want to get in that
We
business.
had
Well-
property one time and we don't want property.
but if it gave us
But
a
just
place
because
to
you pay those taxes doesn't mean you're gonna own that lot. It's
Well, if
still
we
gonna
set up
be
a
in-
contract to do
Well,
so. I mean,
yeah,
if we
but-
work with with an attorney to set it up so that if they don't,
You would have to talk to Chief-Pac about all this.
But I
he's
don't,
gonna have to return a phone call.
I don't think, honestly, Carolyn, I don't think your idea is that bad. I know these guys.
No, it's not a bad idea.
But
I understand what you're trying to accomplish. It's just,
I just don't
Yeah,
know that
jump
we
through
can
the
accomplish
hurdles.
it.
That's what, yeah, and I hear what you're saying. You know, we've gotta work with the, you know, the restraints or whatever that are there. But I still wonder if there is a creative way to attack the problem that gets the outcome that we want, you know. And the outcome we want is, we want to, you know, not forfeit this grant. We don't, you know, and the other thing is, we want to position ourselves for some housing program for opportunities that I know are coming down the pike in the next year. And if we had some land on which to work with those opportunities, we might get some new houses built. And, you know, and doing it plus doing it in a part of town where the infrastructure's already there. We're not talking about going out to the edge of town and trying to, you know, build new streets and sewer and all that kind of stuff in order to accomplish these housing goals.
in your
Another
original-
spatial assessment we talked about,
do you
last
know
year
what
we
address
discussed,
it is, or do you know?
we discussed this last
I
year.
don't, but I could find out.
And the city
fast
spatial
enough.
assessment,
Say, I'll
that
go
goes
look it
away
up.
if
I
that
just, you
property
know, it was
purchase,
only
right?
Friday
I read
that they
that,
told me the
we read that,
reason
we
that
said,
these
you
houses
don't have to pay
the
the
tax
assessment.
because of taxes. I didn't know that it was a tax issue.
Right.
At the tax sale, yeah.
It goes to the tax sale, correct me if I'm wrong, but whatever is collected on that, the county gets their share first, right?
Right.
No, first you've got to pay district court fees.
Well,
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
Right,
And
and then,
publication fees, and then if there's anything left
But
over.
you
goes
don't, you
to
don't
the
have to
tax-
start the sale for the price of the spatial assessment.
No,
This is
no,
what
we
they
found
used to
that
do,
out.
and you don't have to do this
Then
anymore.
nobody could afford it.
No, right.
No.
So, but that way, it's, because a lot of times they have all these spatial assessments. that
That's
they're all
what's
mowing,
wrong with it.
I
And
don't
they
know that
couldn't
the
sell
big
it.
link would
But
enough
now,
that you can
now
force
that
the
they
sale
don't have to
part.
worry about
Takes
cities,
at
because they
least
go the
2
way of
years,
sales. Isn't that right?
At
That's
least
what
2
I
years.
understand.
That's what I
It's
said
a
too.
homestead is 3 years. that have to be redemption, so really you'd be 4 years on that tax.
We're talking this week is opportunity, and I don't know that they're that delinquent even if.
If it's an abandoned lot, it can be 1 year redemption cycle, but Joe Sheepak likes to just do everything 3 years.
Yeah.
Even if it's, the parcel's eligible, sometimes he doesn't even want to put it in.
Put your glasses on, right?
Why?
That's Judy.
It's the same thing.
So
What difference
what if
does
the
it
taxes were
make?
just paid this week and a private agreement were established that said that that person is going to, I don't know, donate the lot to, I don't know, if the city doesn't want, I mean, if the county doesn't want, if the city, if we donate the lot to the city,
In your
what if those
original,
taxes were just paid to clear the books?
Right.
in
Under,
your,
under a private agreement that the individual donates the lot to the city after these conditions are met, which include, you know, applying for this demolition grant and demolishing the house. What if some, would that be a way we could attack it?
I don't see why not, actually. In your original idea, was the city gonna own these lots?
Yeah. Could
I
I,
can understand the county not wanting to be in this business at all. I mean, these guys, they've been here long enough, they have pretty good reasons.
well, yeah, I'm listening. I
I mean,
understand that. That's
I
valid.
respect
I'm
They
not-
used to think if we went to tax sale, that if they didn't sell, then the county had to buy it.
Right, right.
And then
And
the county has to
then they
worry
ended
about
up with a
mowing
bunch
the
of property,
lots.
different Stafford, Maxwell, and everything else,
Right.
and you never get rid of it, and you can't get the property back in use.
And we don't wanna get in that
And
business.
plus, if we got a building, we
This-
got the expense tearing down the building.
This
So
is
we
a
just
little
said,
different
"So what?"
situation, what you're trying to do is a little different program than that. In the interest of trying to get this thing started, and you're looking for some way of
So how big of
expediting
area
this.
is this? Is this like just one lot or?
It's 2 lots.
Well, how much support have you got from the city of Stafford in this program?
Well, they've been open to this. I mean, like what we've been talking about doing, in fact, the city clerk has been very cooperative. What we've been talking about all along is trying to figure out a way to redirect this community development block grant for housing into something like interfaith housing, which I think will be a lot more manageable. I think they'll get better participation out of it. But at any rate, they knew that they were, by April 30th, they had used the right around $200,000. They forfeit it. So they're very open to trying something different. Jessica, at one point, the city clerk and I got in my van and drove around and looked at properties and said, well, because the process for demolishing a house is a lot less complex than the process for refurbishing. So we thought, well, if we can just, there's several houses here that are clearly, you know, demolition candidates. If we could just get the houses demolished, that would give us the activity within the grant that we need to keep it going. And we got in my van and drove around and wrote down addresses, and she's the one that contacted the property
You've already been
owners.
approved for this grant?
What do you mean?
Approved for the grant.
Oh, the city has had this grant for a number of years. I
And
don't
they're
know.
going to lose
And they have not used all the funding that was available through the grant, and the grant, you know, it ends April 30th. So if they don't have a reason to extend for some reason, then the grant's over. I mean, they forfeit what's left of
Why
it.
doesn't the city pay?
Why did they act on it sooner?
I mean, how did this
That's
even
my
fall
thing.
into your
That's my-
Well, I think
April
it's part of
30th.
the flaw, part of the
April
flaw
30th
of
coming up
this
too
is
fast to
that
get anything done.
it was applied for under a previous city clerk's, you know, time. I don't know how much this one knows about, I don't know. Here's part of it too. The grant administrator is Great Plains Development, so it takes some phone calling and pushing on a lot of this stuff. I've done a lot of email. But you've got the grant administrator who doesn't really have a vested interest in whether, I mean, it doesn't benefit her one way or the other, whether it's used or not. You know, she's good, I can say she will be a good person to, you know, write these kind of grants in the proper federalese to, you know, get approval for them in the first place. She does a good job of keeping us within the guidelines and in compliance and everything, but she's not going to be the kind of person that gets out and beat the bushes and makes sure that things are occurring.
No, she's just assisting you in getting the grant. You're facilitating where you get the grant.
She's the grant administrator, and so I don't know if people perceive it that is not, I don't know, but I think this is probably gonna be one of the benefits of having an economic development office here, that we have someone that can be the instigator and kind of on top of these things, hopefully, and try to.
Well,
And I hope
I don't
that-
know why you can't do it. JD, what do you think?
What, go ahead and see what area.
Well, she basically, I think, is asking it, our opinion at least, about using economic development money to pay the taxes.
If we
So
can,
so that this thing can be salvaged.
Well, if it was coming in for tax sale,
it's not coming up for tax sale, they're delinquent, but I don't know how long they've been delinquent, and it's not
this
coming
is
up
the
for
only
tax.
property that's got available, you mean, this particular property?
There is a very, it's about a, I don't know, 5 square block area of Stafford that is designated part of the, it's where this grant can be used. They can't use it throughout the town, and that's, I think, another reason that using it in the
What are you
private-
talking about, how many dollars worth of taxes are you talking about?
I don't know exactly, but it's not.
I'm not really in favor of taking money out of the economic development. Yeah,
If I were to
To
make
pay
a
specifically
phone
for
call and
something
find
like
out
that.
what the taxes were and come back before the end of your commission meeting, would that make it?
Are you talking a couple $100?
Yeah, I don't know. They're dilapidated properties in the first place. They can't have be taxed at.
Well, this is where you gotta be cautious, is if there's been mowing on it, that mowing gets real expensive.
Okay, again, I can understand the need to have that piece of information. If I were to come back here, can we continue the
Yes.
conversation? Okay, I will see what I can find out.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Just come down to my office.
We should go, anything?
that's what reason,
Just
Jeff was
recess, yeah.
Jeff was down there.
I wanted to talk to you about recommending Amy Clausen for a salary increase from range 4.2 to 4.3.
Is it, she's
Her anniversary date
anniversary date?
came up in March, but it was towards the, I think, first part of March, so we had to wait for the April pay period. Amy had missed some of her training, so in the last 2 months, I had her retrain and also sent her to the NCIC school again, and she seems to be absorbing it better, and I feel like she deserves the pay increase at this time.
What's NCI?
National crime, it's what they do on the computer to check backgrounds
Also,
or,
you just in-house on the computer then?
well, no, that, she went to Wichita for that.
Oh, okay.
That's, the highway patrol trains dispatchers on NCIC.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve the pay raise.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye. Okay, that's
You
approved.
need to sign that.
I have to sign
How much greenbacks are
About 20 minutes.
So we got
it. All right.
about 40 there.
St. John always gets more.
And then Stafford gets more than that.
Who's that?
It's just good to eat.
Guess it just rains on the wicked as
I
well as the
guess.
just. you know?
I guess.
And
How's that?
I'd like to go in executive session for 10 minutes to discuss non-elected personnel.
Okay, I'll make that motion, we go to executive session for 10 minutes, for non-elected personnel.
I'll second it. Aye. This is really.
Okay, we'll just finish that conversation. One, the taxes involved are $77.80 on one property and $874.46 on the other property. However, in the course of the conversation with the city clerk, I think they found a different reason to extend this week. They haven't filed their final grant report, and so they're going to file for a 3-month extension based on that. That's all I need. I just need 3 months to work on.
Okay.
Problem solved for this week anyway.
as far as answering your question though about using that money, these guys are pretty adamant that we cannot use, we'd have to talk to Joe. But really, that's not what these funds are for, and I can understand, I can see the point. You know, using public monies to do something like this is probably not something we should consider. You know, and my question is, why isn't the city doing it?
Well, Enfield City can do that if they want to buy property.
And yeah, they can do that. I mean, I'm sure
they've been, I said, Sanders been coming over to the auctions and buying quite from them.
So you might just, you know,
They could probably maybe do the same thing, either pay the taxes just to have the
If
agreement
that's-
to
yeah.
donate it and, you know.
from what you guys are saying, that's legitimate.
Then none of your taxing entities miss out. Your school doesn't miss out, your cemeteries, all your taxing entities don't miss out. If it's worth it to pay it, they'll pay it.
Yeah, but then the city would be using the city's money and not.
Absolutely. I'm sure the city can do it, they use their own money.
The problem is,
These aren't
if we do
amounts of
it,
money that I don't think that
Right.
they could be
It's still-
handling if they
Right.
wanted to, I guess is what I'm
It's
saying.
still-
Yeah.
it's still
Yeah.
And that would be
county.
more appropriate, because
Absolutely.
if we would do it for Stafford, then Maxwell would,
right,
you know, and you start a precedence there, and,
then you get real issues.
yeah.
So I
Okay.
think that their points are
I-
very legitimate.
I hear that, that's.
And as far as the tax sale, like one of those parcels, 08 is the oldest tax that isn't paid, but it doesn't go to redemption until September of 09. And it's redemption years you have to count. It's got to be in redemption for 3 years. So it goes to redemption in 09, you got 10, 11, 12, September of 2012 before it's even eligible for tax sale. So 2012 on an 08 tax, you're really almost 4 to 5 years before it's even in a tax sale. And that's if you have tax sales every year.
Are we supposed to have one this year?
So, still working on it.
So, we can figure out a different way to solve the
Yeah.
problem. It would get the
Yeah.
money back in, or I mean, the property back active in the tax rolls and it's
Right.
sooner.
Right. And a lot of times when things come up for tax sales, cities do buy them.
Yeah, that would come to a price down.
That's not unusual at all.
Okay.
The cities come buy it for $1 if they can, and then taxes are abated off then if there's not enough raised for the taxes, then it's abated off, and it's all cleaned out, just to get it back on the tax roll again. So. It looks like you got
Well,
your
just-
time now.
We got at least another 90 days,
Okay.
so that's,
All right.
okay, great, thank you.
Anybody out there?
I'd like to call for an executive session for non-elected personnel.
Hello.
Oh, 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to go to executive session for 10 minutes.
Seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is that enough time for him to have a cigarette?
You want
You were in.
5 minutes?
to extend it for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to stand there.
You want to do it 10 minutes
You
again?
better do 10 minutes. 'cause
Okay, let's just
you
do
guys
that.
are winning.
Yeah.
I wish Steve
Or
was
non-elected
here, too.
personnel.
Yes.
All in favor, say, oh, no.
I made a motion.
You made the motion, I seconded it. All in favor, say aye. Okay, we're back in. And we can actually adjourn. We had nothing.
I have nothing.
All right, we're adjourned.